Hi there, I'm John McAdams, founder of the Big Game Hunting blog. And in this video, I'm going to do a detailed analysis of the new 6.5 PRC and how it compares to the 6.5 Creedmoor. Though it's only been around for a couple of years, the new 6.5 Precision Rifle Cartridge, or the 6.5 PRC, made a big splash when it first came on the scene in 2018. Now, the 6.5 Creedmoor cartridge has taken the hunting and shooting worlds by storm in recent years, and this has helped ignite a surge in the popularity of 6.5mm or .264 caliber cartridges in general. Well, with the dizzying array of 6.5mm cartridges out there like the 6.5 Grendel, 6.5 Swede, 260 Remington, 6.5 284 Norma, and the 264 Winchester Magnum, many people are wondering what exactly the 6.5 PRC brings to the table that those older cartridges don't already do. Now, that is perfectly reasonable. After all, a lot of people said the exact same sort of things about the 6.5 Creedmoor. Well, the 6.5 PRC is essentially a magnum version of the 6.5 Creedmoor, and it offers some definite advantages over the Creedmoor. Many hunters are still understandably skeptical about the new 6.5 PRC cartridge, though. Now, is the 6.5 PRC just the latest fad that will get overshadowed by the next whiz-bang cartridge that comes along? Are the benefits provided by the 6.5 PRC to hunters and shooters big enough to justify making the switch over to the new cartridge? In this video, I'm going to discuss the pros and cons of the 6.5 Precision Rifle Cartridge in detail. I will also provide some information on how the 6.5 PRC stacks up next to the 6.5 Creedmoor, so you can decide if it fits your needs as a hunter. So first, let's start with the history of the 6.5 PRC. The story of the cartridge began back in 2013 when George Gardner, owner of GA Precision, decided to create a new cartridge specifically designed for competitive shooters and hunters. In particular, he was trying to make an ideal cartridge for use by Precision Rifle Series competition shooters, or PRS shooters. Now, by this point, the 6.5 Creedmoor cartridge had really started to take off in the shooting community. However, for all of the strengths of the 6.5 Creedmoor, it was lacking in a few areas that were especially important to PRS shooters. During PRS competitions, shooters must quickly engage targets in various scenarios at a variety of ranges all the way out past 1,000 yards. The competition is timed, so first round hits are ideal, but there's more to these competitions than just shooting small groups on paper, and the ability to make rapid follow-up shots and quickly correct for misses are also extremely important. Shooters cannot use bullets larger than .308 caliber or with a velocity higher than 3,200 feet per second. For those reasons, flat shooting, medium bore, high velocity, up to a point, and mild recoiling cartridges with a long barrel life have a big advantage in these competitions. Well, not only did Garner want to build a cartridge that met PRS specifications, but he also wanted a cartridge that would fit in a short-action receiver. Short-action rifles have a couple of important advantages and are correspondingly very popular among long-range competitive shooters. Well, what are the advantages of a short-action rifle over a rifle with a longer action length? First, a short-action rifle has a shorter bolt throw and a correspondingly faster cycling time than a standard or a magnum length action. At the same time, those shorter length actions do also deliver a small advantage in accuracy due to their stiffer action. Finally, proponents of short-action cartridges also argue that a shorter and wider powder column is more quickly ignited by the primer and burns more evenly than a comparable amount of powder in a longer and more narrow column. In theory, this results in improved accuracy for the shorter case. All of these parameters eventually led him to decide on a 6.5mm or a .264 caliber round. According to Garner in an interview with Outdoor Life, he said, "I wanted the highest BC bullet you can push at 3,200 feet per second in a short action. The 6s can be pushed that fast, but they have lower BCs. The 7mm have higher BCs, but they can't be pushed at 3,200 feet per second in a short action. The lack of bullet selection in the .25 caliber and .270 caliber ruled those out, so that's why I settled on the 6.5. Now, stepping out of his quote, after deciding on an appropriate caliber, he needed to select a case to serve as a parent to his new Wildcat cartridge. Now, in addition to finding a case with just the right amount of powder capacity, not too little, not too much, to reach his desired performance levels, Garner also ideally wanted to use a case without a rebated rim and without a belt. So this eliminated the 375 H&H, and cartridges like the 264 Winchester Magnum and 300 Winchester Magnum descended from it. The Winchester Short Magnum line of cartridges checked the beltless and non-rebated rim boxes, but they had a little bit more case capacity than he was looking for. Now, Garner initially wanted to use the Ruger Compact Magnum case, which is itself based on the 375 Ruger, as a parent case. However, you might recall that we were in the middle of a massive ammo shortage in 2013. For this reason, Hornady, which produced Ruger Compact Magnum brass, declined to work with him at first because they were stretched to capacity making brass for more popular cartridges like the 223 Remington and 308 Winchester that were the object of so much panic buying at the time. So for that reason, Garner settled on the Remington Short Action Ultra Magnum, or the SAUM, as a parent case. Based on the Remington Ultra Magnum, which is itself descended from the 404 Jeffrey, the new 6.5 SAUM worked pretty well for his purposes, but he was not 100% satisfied by the rebated rim case. Fortunately, things did eventually calm down with the ammo panic buying, and Hornady was able to turn their attention to what would become the 6.5 PRC and redesign the cartridge using a 300 Ruger Compact Magnum RCM case like Garner initially wanted. Now, Hornady formally rolled out the new 6.5 Precision Rifle Cartridge at the end of the 2018 SHOT Show. The cartridge, along with the 300 PRC, which was also descended from the 375 Ruger, received formal SAMI approval later that year. Typical 6.5 PRC ballistics are a 143 grain bullet at 2,960 feet per second, which is good for 2782 foot-pounds of energy, or a 147 grain bullet at 2910 feet per second, which gives you 2764 foot-pounds of energy. Both of those loads are designed to minimize bullet drop and wind drift at extended range. With careful hand loading, it is possible to come very close to that 3,200 feet per second goal that Garner had when he first designed the cartridge. Specifically, maximum hand loads published by Hornady show a velocity of 3,150 feet per second with the 143 grain ELD-X bullet, and a velocity of 3,050 feet per second with the 147 grain ELD match bullet. Both of those loads used a 26-inch barrel, so your mileage may vary though. All things considered, that is pretty impressive performance, especially from a cartridge of that size. So how does the 6.5 PRC stack up next to the 6.5 Creedmoor? Well, 6.5 PRC factory loads usually fire the same bullet 200 to 250 feet per second faster than the 6.5 Creedmoor. Therefore, the 6.5 PRC has a flatter trajectory, more retained energy, and less wind drift than the 6.5 Creedmoor at typical hunting ranges. However, it does have slightly more recoil than the 6.5 Creedmoor though. Now that is how the 6.5 Precision Rifle Cartridge compares to the 6.5 Creedmoor in a nutshell. As we drill down into the details of their similarities and differences though, several especially important factors emerge. Well, first, the 6.5 Creedmoor and the 6.5 PRC both fire the same .264-inch diameter bullets. In fact, Hornady often uses the exact same bullets in factory loads for each one. Both cartridges were also purpose-built for long-range precision shooting. For this reason, they were designed to use the longest and heaviest bullets available for their caliber without intruding into the powder column. So for this reason, long, heavy for caliber bullets will fit in the magazine and chamber in 6.5 Creedmoor and 6.5 PRC rifles. Both cartridges are known for their exceptional accuracy, and both are well suited for using high BC and high sectional density, heavy for caliber, match grade hunting bullets. Now, most 6.5 Creedmoor and 6.5 PRC rifles usually have a relatively fast rifling twist rate, quite often 1 in 8 inches, in order to stabilize those long, heavy, high BC bullets. Now, the 6.5 Creedmoor commonly uses 120 grain, 140 grain, 143 grain, and 147 grain bullets. While the 6.5 PRC can use those lighter bullets, it is most commonly available with either 143 or 147 grain bullets. Both cartridges use a minimally tapered case with a 30-degree shoulder. However, the 6.5 Precision Rifle Cartridge is slightly longer, both in terms of case length and overall length. The 6.5 Creedmoor has a .473-inch rim diameter, while the 6.5 PRC has a larger .532-inch rim diameter. For these reasons, the 6.5 PRC actually has considerably more case capacity than the Creedmoor, and it also has a higher SAAMI authorized maximum pressure of 65,000 psi versus 62,000 psi for the 6.5 Creedmoor. Most manufacturers draw the line between short action and long action rifles somewhere around the overall length of the Winchester short magnum cartridges, which is 2.86 inches. Well, the 6.5 Creedmoor has an overall length of 2.825 inches, so it clearly fits the generally accepted parameters for short action cartridges. Other cartridges like the .308 Winchester and its descendants like the .243, .260, 7mm 08, .338 Federal, and .358 Winchester are all also short-action cartridges. However, with an overall length of 2.955 inches, the 6.5 PRC exceeds those standards by a hair. So while the 6.5 PRC is marketed as a short-action cartridge, that's not strictly true. Even so, the cartridge still fits an impressive amount of performance into a pretty compact package. For many years, gun and ammo manufacturers used the dimensions of some of the most popular cartridges, namely the .308 and the 30-06, as guidelines for designing new cartridges. This is because most of those companies already had lots of equipment on hand to manufacture firearms and ammunition in those same general sizes. For instance, the .270 and the 30-06 are both similar enough in size that it is not too difficult to adapt existing rifle designs for one or the other. The same goes for modifying a .308 Winchester rifle design to 6.5 Creedmoor. So they were coloring inside the lines, so to speak. Now that did simplify things from a design and manufacturing standpoint, but it was also a self-imposed constraint on the development of new cartridges. After all, there is only so much you can do with a cartridge that has a maximum overall length of 2.86 inches. Well, the 6.5 PRC is a good example of a company taking the gloves off, no longer operating within those constraints, and just designing what they believe is the best possible cartridge that fills a certain need. That tiny bit of extra overall length translates into a good chunk of extra velocity, which in turn results in better ballistics. Now, Hornady produces their Precision Hunter ammo in both 6.5 PRC and 6.5 Creedmoor, both of which use the exact same 143 grain ELD-X bullet. The difference is that the 6.5 PRC is shooting that bullet 260 feet per second faster. So the 6.5 PRC does have a flatter trajectory with about 8.2 inches or about 18% less bullet drop at 500 yards. The 6.5 PRC also has about 20% more energy at the muzzle and about 23% more energy remaining at 500 yards than the 6.5 Creedmoor. Now this video is focused on the performance of these cartridges for hunting. However, just to give you an idea of the superiority of the 6.5 PRC over the 6.5 Creedmoor at long range, consider this. The 6.5 Creedmoor has over 58 inches or 23% more bullet drop at 1,000 yards with a 200-yard zero. To further illustrate that same point, consider the supersonic ranges of the two cartridges. This particular 6.5 Creedmoor load drops below the speed of sound at around 1,475 yards, but the 6.5 PRC stays supersonic out until around 1,650 yards. Now, as far as wind drift goes, there's not a tremendous difference between the cartridges. That extra velocity does translate into a noticeably flatter trajectory and more retained energy, but there's just 1.8 inches separating the two cartridges in terms of wind drift at 500 yards. That's not nothing, but it's not a gigantic difference either. That shouldn't really be surprising though. After all, the two cartridges are using the exact same bullet, so the difference here is entirely due to the 260 feet per second advantage in muzzle velocity the 6.5 PRC has. Now let's talk about recoil. The 6.5 Creedmoor is known for having a relatively mild recoil. However, the 6.5 PRC achieves that velocity advantage over the Creedmoor at the expense of about 38% more free recoil energy. As a point of comparison, the free recoil energy generated by the 6.5 PRC load is slightly less than the recoil generated by a run-of-the-mill 270 Winchester hunting load in a rifle that weighs the same. Yeah, that's quite a bit more than the Creedmoor, but the 6.5 PRC is hardly a fire-breathing, heavy recoiling magnum cartridge either. So take all of that for what you will. There's no such thing as a free lunch, and you get that extra performance with the 6.5 PRC at the expense of more recoil. So where do we stand overall? Well, Basically, the 6.5 PRC is capable of firing the same bullet somewhat faster than the 6.5 Creedmoor. That translates into a flatter trajectory, more resistance to wind drift, and more kinetic energy at typical hunting ranges. Now, if you want to use the 6.5 PRC for elk hunting, the additional couple hundred foot-pounds of kinetic energy the cartridge provides will certainly come in handy. Now, that flatter trajectory and more resistance to wind drift also can help with shot placement by making it just a little bit more forgiving of range and or wind estimation errors. Unfortunately, the 6.5 PRC does have quite a bit more recoil than the 6.5 Creedmoor though. And that is really one of the big selling points of the 6.5 Creedmoor. Sure, the 6.5 PRC is a little bit more powerful and it does have slightly better ballistics, but I'm not sure how much those improvements matter in the grand scheme of things, especially when you consider how much more the cartridge recoils. After all, if I'm going to be dealing with recoil almost on the level of the 270 Winchester, I'd just as soon actually hunt with the 270, but that's just me. While many hunters should be able to handle the recoil of both cartridges without much trouble at all, don't underestimate the impact that recoil has on the ability of a person to shoot accurately either. Regardless of how well a given person handles recoil, all other things being equal, they will absolutely shoot better with a milder recoiling cartridge. And a mild recoil also facilitates with spotting misses and taking a rapid follow-up shot, both at the range and out afield. All things considered though, both cartridges are very accurate, flat shooting, and hit hard enough for use on a wide variety of game at practical hunting ranges. Regardless of whether you're using a 6.5 Creedmoor or a 6.5 PRC, no pronghorn, mule deer, or elk will go far if you put a well-constructed bullet into the vitals. Of the two cartridges though, the 6.5 Creedmoor is still by far the most popular with hunters. This is reflected in prices, availability, and variety of factory ammunition and hunting rifles currently in production for each one. Even so, though the 6.5 PRC does have some advantages on paper, don't count the 6.5 Creedmoor out yet. It's still a great hunting round, and it is a whole lot easier to find good quality 6.5 Creedmoor rifles and loaded ammunition. So if you already have a 6.5 Creedmoor, there's really no big reason to upgrade to the 6.5 PRC unless you just want to. For most hunters, the 6.5 Creedmoor is probably the better all-around choice. That said, the 6.5 PRC does give hunters the ability to wring a little bit more performance out of a 6.5mm cartridge without dealing with the more expensive ammunition, recoil, and shorter barrel lives of more powerful 6.5mm cartridges like the 6.5 Remington Magnum, 264 Win Mag, 26 Nosler, or the 6.5 300 Weatherby. For this reason, I can certainly understand why someone would want to hunt with a 6.5 PRC, especially if that person didn't already have a 6.5 Creedmoor. Now, the 6.5 PRC is a very well-designed cartridge that offers some real advantages to hunters and does fill a specific niche among the various 6.5mm cartridges. While a somewhat surprisingly large number of hunters and shooters have been quick to adopt the new cartridge, the small benefits it offers over more established calibers like the 6.5 Creedmoor, in my opinion, probably aren't significant enough to justify making the switch for most people. Now, this is especially true considering the lack of 6.5 PRC ammo choices at this point. Even so, the selection of ammunition for the cartridge will likely improve in the future if the cartridge continues to grow in popularity. So if you're the type of person who wants to wring out all the performance you can from a certain caliber, by all means get a 6.5 PRC. It is a fantastic and well-designed cartridge, and I'm sure it will serve you well afield. Now, if you enjoyed this video, then please make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel right now. Just click that red subscribe button below to make sure that you don't miss out on any of my new videos about hunting gear reviews, strategies, and more. For more detailed information on some of the other most popular hunting cartridges, click on the link in the description below to get a free ebook I have written on the best hunting calibers. Now I'm going to turn it over to you guys. Which cartridge do you prefer? The 6.5 PRC or the 6.5 Creedmoor? What game have you successfully taken with them, and what ammo do you prefer? Let me know by leaving a comment on this video right now. Thanks for watching, have a great day, and good hunting.